Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessa, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy frickin' Tuesday, July 7th. Well, Disclosure's moving forward one Lue Elizondo comment at a time. On that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. We got some interesting stuff to cover. Lue is over in a 2.5 hour broadcast. We'll be covering that over in Japan. Some interesting things he has to share. Before we get to that, let's go ahead and welcome in 56 Bel Air in the chat. It's a live show. Got to welcome everybody, and Andrew Davies out there along with April. We got Boomer Groomer along with Brains. Carl's out there along with Disclosure Tonight. How about that? We got DJ Mizu's out there and Ed Zachary, Elvis Roten, Evan B, Firefly, Geraldine Durazio. Hypersonic Booms in the chat along with Jay Boone, Jake Knott from State Farm, J Cat Meow, Jesus Freak 777, Johnny Geldhill, Kiwi DJ, Light Media, Lion, not Lion. How about that? Lori G's out there along with Melee Watch. We got the Mississippi and Mr. Joey B. Nightshade Giggle is in the chat along with Imperfectly Perfect. Psychosomatic Addict Insane. Welcome, my friend. Tone it down. Hey, you're fine. Keep it going, Psychosomatic. What the heck? Rainstorm Hunter's out there along with random YouTube user. We got Sam, Scooby Dooby Gooby, Steve Mateo, Supercharged Land Cruiser, T-Bone just popped right up. We got the Fantasy Football Master, the Truth Master, Wasteland Wonder, X42B, and of course our dear friend coming from the United Kingdom, Yellow Tommy Tanker, who's also known as Andy, but he's still at work, so can't count him out, but of course we can. A lot of people like to listen from work. On that note, let me jump into the studio and figure out what we're going to do. Yes, there we go. Yes. Lunar Monolithic Disclosure. This is a clip that came up. We mentioned this in the opening that Lue Elizondo had a 2.5 hour interview that we're going to be skipping through. I'll be doing all the hard work for you, folks, for us to go back and listen to Lue Elizondo. It's been a long time since we've heard him in this kind of a long engagement. Heck, this is the first time he's actually connected with people in Japan. Greatest part about it is these are the people that I helped connect Lue with. It's like he had some people who were posting out there from Japan wanting to get in connection with him, and I follow back to Lue. It's like, hey, Lue, make sure you didn't miss this. And he got it. It's a connection, and it's a good thing. Disclosure is an international piece, and we can't wait to see where it's going to go. But before we get to that, I want to say those three magic words. Mike, how the hell are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well, and it seems like because of that interview that Lue is doing in Japan, we're going to have a lot more to talk about than we usually do. Very interesting. What I thought was interesting is that, oh, thank God is right. Lue said that now, due to the disclosure that's slowly coming out of our government, it allows him to speak more freely than it did before. Because more information that they release, he can then freely talk about. So now he's starting to put out a lot more breadcrumbs. So we're going to hear that on the interview because that's where he mentioned this. So this would explain why we're getting more out of Lue now than we have before.
Thank you, T-Bone. Appreciate the $10 Canadian super chat. Thank you for starting it off tonight. Fan-funded program, and I appreciate every penny that comes in because I get to put it back into the show. All right, so great. Let's go ahead and bring up this first video clip here before we start diving into the full interview with Lue. Let's get to video. Yes, Thomas. All right, let's go ahead and bring up Lue. Come on. Oh, my God, Mike.
What?
Grumpy cat.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. You see something, you got to say it. Nothing bad about that.
Nope, you're right.
There's also photographs that I don't believe have been made public yet that show on the lunar surface what appear to be large monolithic structures with right angle cuts that appear to be on the lunar surface. And I believe those photographs, if they have not been released yet, may be released soon. But they are certainly very intriguing looking at these objects from space.
Now, remember, Mike, Lue Elizondo hung out with Michael Gold the day before I met with him and saw him at his tour that he was doing across the United States. His last stop was in Seattle. Nick in the back was with us as well, and he did talk about Michael Gold having a bunch of photographs of things on the moon that have never been seen before. And he's like, not sure if he should be showing these things, but he did anyway. So, Mike, I think this could be tied back to that. And by what you were saying earlier, that Lue's able to go ahead and talk a lot more freely on there, that's just, it's a good sign of what's coming forward.
It is, because, Lue made a point that now that people are speaking more freely about this, when the information comes out from various people, he can now add what he knows to that. So before he couldn't, because his NDAs made him shut up.
Exactly.
Now he's able to speak more freely. So yeah, no, it's definitely it's going in the right direction, Thomas.
All right, let's just go ahead and play this one more time for the audience, and then we'll get across to the full kabit and caboodle. Oh man, we got to talk about it too. Shermer and Loeb are pushing that the frickin' all the orbs we're seeing, including the Foo Fighters, Mike.
Yeah,
they're meteors or meteoritic dust that's in the atmosphere.
I'd like to know what drugs that asshole is taking, because it's got to be some good stuff. Right. For him to make comments like that, it's got to be some really good stuff.
Exactly. So let's play this clip here. Here we go again.
There's also photographs that I don't believe have been made public yet that show on the lunar surface what appear to be large monolithic structures with right angle cuts.
Okay. Large monolithic structures with
cuts that appear to be on the lunar surface. Right angle cuts.
So large monolithic structures with right angle cuts, like 90 degrees is probably what he's talking about here.
So it's not naturally occurring, obviously.
No.
Right. And like we talked about before the show, if there is any objects on the moon, I mean anything that is not naturally occurring and has been manufactured by somebody, that is also equally, I think, as groundbreaking as disclosure itself, because it gives us insight that something else has been up there besides us, and we're now just discovering that.
Yeah,
that's
true.
huge. That's huge.
Oh, it's very huge, my friend. Hold on. Where's this at? I need to find open recent.
It also shows us how much NASA has been lying to us this whole time.
So for the person who asked the question, have we looked at Form 312 yet, really quick, since I got to this? I just want to address the audience. We started going over it last night. We got we got distracted with other things going on. But yes, Form 312 that you're bringing up, we briefly covered the first paragraph, which is a lot of the stuff that gets into it last night. This is the standard form, Mike, that every single person signs with the federal government to basically shut them up.
Correct. Yeah, we were covering that last night.
Exactly. Someone said if we covered it, yeah, we did a bit. So there we go on that note. Now let's get back to the bigger story. All right. Smile. You're on candid camera. All right, let's get to this. Oh, it's, wait. Oh, son of a bitch. I hate it when you have a monitor above the monitor you're on. You accidentally pop the window to the one above it. Daryl, your hand is up. Do you have a survey?
Just a quick observation. This is the Japanese Mike Myers in Austin Powers. I'm pretty sure that's Austin.
Oh, and I'm never going to be able to unsee that again. Groovy. No, if I can just find where fucking Chrome is right now. I've lost the chat. I know it's here somewhere. Chat, where did you go? Hold on. Oh, there it is. I found it now. I had the chat on top of the chat. That would make that happen. Okay, let's get to this first part. All right, Mike has found some interesting pieces in here. Let's get to this one piece. And Mike's stuff was around 24 minutes in, right? 26 minutes in?
36 minutes, 20
36.
seconds.
We'll get there shortly. We'll be hearing things that Lue Elizondo in some cases have never talked about before. So here we go.
その中でですね、そのオーブは色によって様々なカラーがあるんですが、
Hold on, I need to double check the audio. Make sure we can hear every word. There it is. There we go.
色によって性質が環境と関連づけて情報の
background. And given your background in intelligence, did you ever consider recording these encounters? And after everything,
So they're asking about the orbs that he saw in the house. And did he
Right.
ever think of recording the encounters? You know, Mike, no one's ever asked him this question yet, but we've brought that up so many times on the show
Oh
so
my
far.
God.
Yeah.
To death. We beat that horse to death.
Yeah.
Right.
No, Mike, it's like pulling teeth from a newborn. You're going to dig a lot and it's going to be really bloody and you ain't going to find much of teeth.
Right. You ain't gonna find shit.
Yeah.
We
Can
ain't
you
found
explain-
shit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh.
Oh, a bullshit artist.
experienced, finally, what do you personally believe these orbs were?
Wow, boy, a lot to unpack. Let me start by addressing the first question.
どうぞお願いします。
So my
not
observations of orbs were experienced by my immediate family and even my neighbors at the time. It was a green diffuse ball, roughly the size of a volleyball, that my family and I noticed from time to time. There was no prearranged specific time, so we had no way to anticipate when we would see these balls. And we saw them actually inside our own home. And if it wasn't for my own family to witness these, and also our neighbors who also witnessed these while we were gone, they reported, they would call me and say that it looked like there was a proverbial party going on at my house, and yet nobody was in our house at the time. The house was vacant. Now, it is easy for one to chalk this up to natural weather phenomenon, ball lightning, or some sort of atmospheric ionization. But what made this so peculiar is that while my family was experiencing these, they were also being experienced by other individuals who were also assigned to the ATIP program. And as far as the colors you were asking me specifically, the only interaction my family and I have ever had directly with orbs were green in color. However, we are now seeing with the release of many documents coming from the United States government that there are several different morphologies of these lights, which I will discuss in a moment, but I'm going to allow the translator a moment here to convey what I just said, and then I will continue.
Yes, thank you. このオーブは、私の家族も見ていて、また私の、ご近所さんも見る代のとても不定期家の中でもあるって自然現象ということもあるんで、という人もいるんですけど、それは一緒に関わっていて、で、ものでした。しかし、アメリカ政府の、持っている、文書によると、Go ahead.
So for this reason, it was very peculiar because other individuals who were assigned to ATIP, their families were also experiencing precisely the same phenomenon that my family was experiencing while we were all assigned to the same program. So it's easy to chalk this up or to explain this away as some sort of atmospheric aberration, but the reality is, statistically, that would be extremely remote possibility for all of us to be experiencing the same thing roughly at the same time. Now, to discuss more specifics about morphology, there are several colors that have been identified. They range from colors of white to red, green, and even blue. My experience with blue orbs, I have not had any. Those were other colleagues of ours, and we had a research facility at the time at a ranch in Utah, where these orbs were observed on many occasions. And on one particular occasion, blue-colored orbs had lured two dogs out into the field, and when the owner tried to recover the dogs, unfortunately, there wasn't very much left of the poor animals. The they heard the dogs bark, almost in distress. And then when they went to go find the dogs, the two dogs were, boy, how do I say them? Excuse it to say the word, but they were liquefied.
Mike, have we heard this story before?
No, this story has never come out publicly before, according to Lou. No one has heard this story. It seems that Eric Davis was right after all when he said, they're not our friends.
Yeah.
They're not here to help us. So,
well, Lewis said when I met with him 2-3 weeks ago now at this point, he said he's wanted to talk more. He's going to start talking more. He has the ability to start talking more now. So we're getting it.
oh, we are. And he even said that in this interview, that he's going to be able to say more and he's going to bring more out.
Good.
Moving forward.
It's time. It seems like when Eminem came out, he freaking clamped down on what the hell he was talking about.
Oh, he did, because if you remember, he talked to us openly on the show about things that after the book came out, he asked the same questions by other interviewers, he wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
He ducked it.
Yeah.
So we knew he shut everything down.
Right. Well,
but now it's going the other direction.
That's a good thing. It's
very good thing. Yeah. So I didn't know about these blue orbs killing life forms here on Earth. That's not a good sign.
I'm not sure if that's the one that was on the East Coast that, ended up killing someone's son.
Liquefied him?
I don't know. I don't think he was liquefied. No, Lou actually looks a little bit thinner here, but if you look at the picture from him, on the freaking title card, where is it at? Let's get back to the title card for a second. That's Lou a week ago. So I think it's because he shaved a little bit and stuff, but it looks pretty. It's the lighting. Let's say that.
And the glasses. Those glasses are bigger than normal.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
And they have changed them out. Yeah.
Let's move on. Here we go.
ちょうどのそういうあるようなそこ表現状態ででしたと。
これすいません、今のお話って私エリゾンドさんの大ファンなんでネットでは見てるんですが、今お話しくださった家です。
It is the first time I have discussed this incident. It has been discussed before by other participants of the program I was involved with. I don't know if it's ever been discussed publicly, but that did indeed occur.
これは私がこの件について話すのは初めてなんですけれども、他のメンバーがこの件については触れたことがあります。でもこれは本当に起きたことということは、確かです。
浅川さん何かありますか？
家の中でのだったのか、明るさ。
I'm sorry, repeat please.
How bright was?
Bet you I can. Hold on. I want to go subtitles. I want to be auto-translate. I want to go to English. So if we want to see what the Japanese people are saying, we can see it now.
The orbs.
So my observations, it was very interesting because they were luminous and yet there did not appear to be any active source of light. It almost appeared like a neon glowing sign where there is no elements, there's no filament, but it radiates light. And at the time, my family and I, we have been asked if we were afraid. We were not afraid. We were more curious than anything else, but we did not feel threatened. But I will share with you in a moment here, I'll share with you a couple of very real incidents that could have been very dangerous, not for my family, but for military personnel. And I will discuss that in a moment.
それは光っていたんですけれども、何かそう発光しているという感じじゃなくて、まるでネオンの光のようでした。で、私たちはそれによって危害を加えられているというか脅かされているような感じはしませんでした。で、ちょっともう少し実際に起きたご紹介。 Please continue.
My country has recently released formally highly classified documents specifically about the orbs.
Yes.
And the general consensus by our intelligence community, our CIA, our DIA, our NSA, have all concluded that these things are very real and in some cases may pose a potential threat to our military equities. As a case in point, I would like to share with you a very brief story.
アメリカ政府が最近、公開した、以前はとても高度な機密情報だった文書によると、やっぱりこのようなオーブがあってそれを、私たちに
So we have been experiencing this orb phenomenon for decades. It appears going all the way back towards the end of World War II over Europe, where Allied aircraft had reported seeing these strange balls, luminous balls in the sky, and they referred to them as Foo Fighters. It's a made-up name. It's not a. So if it's hard to pronounce or understand, it's because it's not a real word. But they called them Foo Fighters, and I'll let you translate that, and then I'm gonna tell you what happened recently.
Yeah. このようなものというのはもう何十年もよほど不思議な。
In World War II, the witnesses described seeing these luminous balls that would actually follow combat aircraft in and out of combat engagements. And probably about 8 years ago now, the United States, we have a helicopter testing facility in Alabama. I have to be careful. I can't say exactly where it is, but we have a helicopter testing facility where we test all of our new technologies and our new helicopters. And there are 6 test pilots that are part of this program. And within 1 month, all 6 test pilots reported seeing these red glowing orbs that seem to either be chasing or following the test helicopters. One of the test pilots reported that he felt that these objects were just being curious, while another test pilot it was in a little bit more serious situation. As he was flying his test helicopter, 3 luminous balls of light approached his helicopter, and his helicopter lost all power. And so he began to conduct something what they call auto rotation, an emergency auto rotation, which is trying to save the helicopter. And as he's coming down and the helicopter is about to crash, the 3 orbs disappeared over the horizon, and he all of a sudden was able to gain full function of his helicopter again at the very last minute and actually save the helicopter. But within 1 month, all 6 test pilots encountered these red orbs that seem to be very curious in our military capabilities.
はい、このようなオーブというものは第二次大戦の時には、その飛行機がオーブというものは第二次大戦の時
during the war, these kinds of objects would actually chase after the planes while they were engaged in combat.
時には、その飛行機が実際に戦闘を行っている時に、追っかけてきたりしていましたと。で、8年ぐらい前のこと。
About 8 years ago during a test run of a new helicopter. Okay, so he's basically just going and translating what Lue was saying.
なんですけれども、テストしていて6人のオーブに追っかけられ、単なる密着してしまって凹凸のそのオーブは助かったと、そのようなことがありました。
So why is this important? It's important for several reasons, because it's not just the United States military and the intelligence community that is experiencing this phenomenon. We now know that countries like Russia, China have also been experiencing this orb phenomena, along with many nations in South and Central America. These reports of these lights, these orbs, seem very consistent with some sort of potential surveillance or reconnaissance.
すごい話だ。
どうしてこの件が国警察行動
質問しますけど、覆ってるんじゃないの
色も How do you
そうですね。
So how would you compare the orbs that you saw and the orbs that chased, for example, these pilots? We believe that maybe they're bigger, and you said that they were in different color, but anything else, any other difference in terms of observation?
Hold on. Oh, Jesus Christ. What did this thing just do?
So
Sorry.
how would you compare the orbs that you saw and the orbs that chased, for example, these pilots? We believe that maybe they're bigger, and you said that they were in different color, but anything else, any other difference in terms of observable characteristic?
Sure. Well, the general consensus is that these orbs may be some sort of remotely operated or autonomous type collection capability. Some may potentially have be weapons capable as well, particularly the blue ones. But it appears that these luminous balls of light may be some sort of collection platform. And would be potentially unmanned simply because of the size. They tend to be they're not large enough really to contain some sort of technical type vehicle, certainly not one that we are familiar with. But it's important to know that I think if you look through some ancient text, not just recent text, but ancient text within the Vatican and other religious institutions, there have been reports for centuries of these luminous balls of light. In fact, when I visited Argentina, down into the area called Patagonia is in the southern part of Argentina, there was a local indigenous tribe there called the Mapuche people. And the Mapuche people have been reporting for many, many years these orbs. However, they ascribe a spiritual aspect to them. They do not describe them from a technical perspective. They actually believe that these are spirits of ancestors. And that is their perspective. My point to this is that for many years, these phenomenon of orbs have been reported by people around the world, not just here in the United States.
一つの、一般的に合意できることがあります。みんなが思っていることがあります。でそれはこれらのオーブというものは、おそらく、どっかでそれは
Okay, these O units are probably remotely being operated automatically. Okay, never mind. They're
こ
just
れら
doing
の
the
オーブというも
translation
の
again.
は、おそらく、どっか遠隔で、そうありますけれども、これはもう何もけども彼らに
United States. Allow me to
視察されてきたことなんです。
素晴らしい。
allow me to express how serious the United States considers this topic. One of my colleagues who had experienced this type of orb activity, him and his family became very sick, almost consistent with cancer type of illness. To the point where the U.S. government actually was concerned about his living situation and helped purchase his house from him so he could buy another house for him and his family. A lot of this sickness seemed to be very consistent with some sort of radiation poisoning, which if you think about a highly energetic localized ball of energy, it certainly can be consistent if you get too close to something like that, like your modern microwave oven.
Bingo.
Imagine standing close to your microwave oven without the door on the oven. Mm-hmm. You can imagine that the stray radiation would not be good for our health, and it appears to be very similar type injuries sustained by individuals, military people, intelligence people, not civilians. We were just focusing on military and intelligence personnel who had gotten too close to some of these orbs and apparently had suffered biological consequences.
アメリカが
Biological consequences. Does that mean it killed him? Maybe.
中国はこの件をとても真剣に取っています、私の同僚なんですけれども、彼はこの大粒が出る電子でそのいるということで
Well, I have always considered myself to be a man of science. When I went to the university, I graduated as a microbiologist and immunologist studying medicine. I then entered into the Army and was a military intelligence officer. So I worked in military intelligence, running investigations. And then later, when I became a special agent in counterintelligence, I was very focused on conducting investigations based on fact. Not supposition, not opinion. What does the data suggest? So I've always considered myself a disciple of the scientific methods. I am not prone to flights of fancy. I never followed the UFO topic before it became my job officially. And I wasn't very interested in science fiction as a child. And nor did I have the luxury when I was in the government to really consider the topic of UFOs seriously. However, as an intelligence officer, once you start collecting more and more data, the case becomes very, very compelling that what we are dealing with is something that is very, very real.
ここで一つはっきりとさせておきたいことがあります、私は科学を信じていますと、大学でもマイクロバイオロジー、生物学、微生物学を勉強しましたし、医学的なことも勉強しましたと。でその後、情報機関に勤めていろんな捜査をしていましたと。で、カウンターインテリジェンス、もう、エージェントでもという元に思っているデータが
言ってたと場所ですけど、見えギャップが。
attitude. It's a little best with your very scientific attitude. It's a little bit different from the image that he used to have of you on the History Channel. You were there very wild.
I can appreciate that. Unfortunately, when you are doing a television show, sometimes the producers of the shows will take liberties and how shall I say, help engineer a story that might be a little bit more interesting to the average viewer. So I am very much a man of science. I always have been. I believe in science there is truth. But let's not forget that there are many things in our universe that we now take for granted as being science fact. And at one time, they were considered science fiction. And I'll give you some examples of that in a moment, but I'll allow the translator the ability to translate first.
ありがとうございます。それはよくわかります。
Indigenous train. So for
信じられないようなことが多かったんです。
はい。Yes.
So for example, there's many concepts that were once considered strange or paranormal. Believe it or not, things like photography. To some indigenous cultures, they were very afraid of photography because they believed it would somehow steal some of the essence of the person in order to make the photograph. We now realize it's just optics. Same thing in medicine. When I was at the University of Miami, we were always told many years ago that acupuncture.
Really quick, audience, if you're having a good time, like this show, you're new to Disclosure tonight, you're stopping in to see what's going on with Lue and what he's talking about, Lue talking about more, do us a favor, give us a subscribe, and if you haven't given us a thumbs up really quick, we'd appreciate it. Let me get back to the podcast, but I just wanted to remind everybody, please like and subscribe.
Was Eastern medicine, and there was no basis in science. Now, you can go to any American hospital, and they will actually prescribe acupuncture for the purposes of pain management, and it is very, very effective. Many things which we do not understand, we tend to be dismissive about as a species. And the only way to better understand something is to have the courage to ask the questions and to collect the data and allow the data to speak for itself. We as human beings, we tend to superimpose our values, our culture, our religion on almost everything. And in this particular topic, we have to really try to avoid that temptation and remain purely scientifically focused.
多くの私たちが、不思議だと思っていた超常的だと思っていた概念、例えば写真もそうですけど、写真は、ある部族の人たちにとったらそれは何か人格を取られるようなものだった、でも今は単に視覚的なものだというふうに、私たちは分かっています。医療でもそうなんですけれども、ちょっと前まではアメリカでは針治療というものは何の科学的根拠もないものだというふうに言われていたんですけれども、今ではアメリカでも、疼痛治療のもなければ
History of humankind. There have been many paradigm-changing moments in the history of humankind. And although they don't happen very often in one's lifetime, I would submit to you that they are essential for the evolution of our species. And so, as an example, the first paradigm-changing moment may have been when humankind first gazed upon the heavens in wonder and realized that our universe suddenly became much, much bigger. Another time where our paradigm may have changed is when a human being grabbed two stones, struck those two stones, and created a spark, and for the first time could illuminate the darkness. And perhaps, another time was when two fishermen were standing on a beach, and one morning one fisherman says to the other, "Today is the day. Today is the day I sail over the horizon." And of course, his friend standing on the beach with him told him, you don't want to do that because the earth is flat, you'll fall off, and there's sea monsters that will attack your ship. Now, of course, we laugh now about that, about sea monsters and attacking boats. But the reality is, there really are sea monsters. They're called great white sharks, they're called blue whales, and they're called the great squid of the Pacific. And they're not really monsters anymore, are they? They're just part of our new understanding of reality, our new understanding of nature, and our place in it.
このような大きな、考えます。いつか世界をもっと、あるいは世の向こうその、確かにモンスターでも我々
It reminds me of when I was when I was a young soldier. We learned here in the United States that that the Japanese Navy in the 1800s had evolved faster than any other nation on the planet. That when the Japanese people had first been confronted with a modern navy, they had two choices. They could either ignore it or they could understand it. And what the Japanese people chose was not only to understand it, but to improve it. And I believe this topic is no different. I think we are facing a fundamentally new type of experience as a species, and we have a fundamental choice. We can choose to either ignore it or we can choose to understand it.
これ私は軍隊に行った時のことはに大きなのからにを決断の時まだ黒船の
非常に興味深いお話 UFO についてお聞きしたいんですが思います UFO あるいは UAP できたようなとを分け
When we say UFO or UAP, do you think it's useful to draw a line between the physical nuts and bolts craft on one hand and non-physical phenomena on the other?
Wow. Great question.
We've always heard Malou say that so many times. Wow, great question. Oh, that's a great question. Here we go.
I can't answer for everybody else. I can only answer for me personally. I believe there is much to this phenomenon that we need to learn, but
really quick, he prefaced this by saying, I believe. And that's always a good thing because it's coming from his point of view, not according to the national security person that he can be at times.
also there's much to this phenomenon that may be related. And allow me to digress here for just a moment, and let me allow the translator to catch up, and then I'd like to give you an example of what I'm talking about.
まあ私のコンタクト今から
So I'm gonna say this in pieces to facilitate the translator, but I think it will make sense when I'm finished. There have always been limitations to mankind's understanding of the universe and the world around us. One is a physical limitation. And as an example, human vision, the way we judge our environment around us, we use eyes to do that. And our eyes pick up a very specific frequency in the greater electromagnetic spectrum that we call the electro-optical spectrum. And that spectrum, the way we see the entire world around us, represents only 0.0035% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum.
まずいろんな形の星や人形はものし00
If you look at this beautiful photograph you have behind you that you have for display, that photograph was taken with a radio telescope, meaning you are seeing colors and detail that the human eye normally cannot pick up. If you were to look at that part of the sky with your human eye, you would probably see nothing but blackness and some fuzzy white dots. The reality is most of the universe lies beyond our ability to directly perceive it. For example, if you had the ability to see the world as a bumblebee, you would see the world through ultraviolet frequencies, and you would see a completely different reality around you. What we perceive as a flower, a bumblebee can perceive much, much more. And yet that is where most of reality lies. If you look at it part of the night sky with a radio telescope, you will see a reality that you don't normally perceive. You will see nebulas, you will see large Magellanic Clouds, you will see a completely different reality. And that's really where most of reality lies. It lies beyond our ability to physically directly observe it.
今造人間もことができるの
Know that there are physical
っていうのを考えてみてください。
So we know that there are physical limitations for us to perceive and understand our cosmos, our universe, but there's also physical limitations, and I'll explain that in a moment.
Sorry, the
Biological
limitation, and what was the second?
Well, the first is a biological
First was the
limitation.
biological, sorry.
The second is a physical limitation.
一番最初のものは物理的なものというか生物学的なものでした。でこれから物理的な制約についてお話しします。
はい、お願いします。
So from a physical perspective, our cosmos is incomprehensibly large. In fact, astrophysicists and other planetary scientists now agree that the observable horizon of the universe we live in, the observable, not the actual size, but just the observable size of our universal horizon is about 40 billion with a B, light years across. If I look to my left and I look to my right, I can see roughly 20 billion light years in any direction. And that is a huge number. Now, how far and how vast is a light year? Well, it's the time it takes one photon of light to travel in a year. So we know that light can travel at approximately 186,000 miles per second, or roughly 7.5 times around our planet in 1 second. So imagine how far it can go in a day, imagine how far it can go in a week, and imagine how far it can go in a year. And now multiply that by 40 billion. We live in a very, very vast reality, but it gets even more stranger than that. But I'll allow our translator to catch up.
でこの、見えるだけで、フォトンの
So size is a limitation for us. And in fact, it has been assessed that there are more stars in our observable universe than there are grains of sand in all the beaches of all the world.
でしかも、この宇宙には、星だけで考えてもこの地球上にある砂の数よりも多いというふうに言われています。
And yet, if you compare that to the size of a quark, a subatomic particle, that quark in scale is roughly the same order of magnitude compared to us as we are to the size of the observable universe.
でそこでクォークの大きさを考えてほしいんですけれども、クワークの大きさ、そういう宇宙と
Inside one can make the argument that there is just as much amount of space inside every single human being comparatively as there is in the known universe. And yet we as human beings, we are limited because of where we sit in this scale of the universe. We can only interact or directly observe 1 or 2 orders of degree magnitude up or down, or simply the universe is simply too big or too small. We'll never be able to directly interact with it. And yet that is where indeed most of reality actually lies.
そういうふうに考えると、私たちの体というのは宇宙と同じぐらい大きいとも考えられるんですけども、そのような私たちでさえ宇宙はとても大きいので、私たちが実際に関わることのできる、現実の世界というのは、本当に私たちに近いところだけなんです。
So when we're talking about a topic like UFOs or UAP, we have to keep an open mind because there is still much we have to learn.
だから UFO や UAP について考えるときは本当に、心を開いて、いろんな可能性についてオープンなままで、いなければいけませんと。
So if we go back to the story I told about 2 fishermen on the beach, I believe that we are entering a time period that's really no different. I think we are about to embark on a new journey. I think we're beginning to realize that our world, our universe, our reality may be even more interesting than we previously thought. And I believe that we just may be standing on another beach together about to sail over the next horizon.
でまたその漁師の話に戻りますけれども、その2人の漁ってみようかもしれませんし、知恵戦
昔カール・セーガン博士が全く同じことを40年前におっしゃってました。
Years ago, Asakawa says. Carl Sagan said something similar about 40 years ago, Asakawa says.
Yes, I think we need to humble ourselves. If we want to explore the unknown, then we have to be willing to accept answers that we might not be comfortable with.
私たちは謙虚でいなければなりませんと。何か知らないことについて探求しようと思ったら、もしかしたら、自分にとって、居心地の悪いことを事実を知ることがあるかもしれないですけど、
の研究という例えばクラッシュリトリーバルやですねリバースエンジニアリングというじゃないかという可能性で言うと UFO エイリアンの話でのエイリアンというナラティブ可能性の話を疑問に。
some people argue that the crash retrieval or reverse engineering narrative or all the narrative surrounding UFO, UAPs and aliens, extraterrestrials and so on is a kind of cover story, a way to keep up breakthroughs in areas like zero-point energy, anti-gravity or teleportation. How do you respond to that line of thinking or criticism?
Well, it certainly can't be discounted, but the reality is there's a temporal or time aspect to this where simply that argument is not logical. And allow me to explain, but go ahead and translate first and then I'll explain.
もちろんそれをそう簡単に違うということは良くないと思うんですけども、でも時間的なところを考えたときに、それはちょっとないんじゃないかなと思います。
どうぞ。So, in the 1940s, the world's most technologically advanced countries included Japan, the United States. It took a little while for the United States to catch up, but with Japan, the United States, Germany, and several other nations. And if you look at that, we had not yet been to space, and we had not yet barely broken the sound barrier. And yet we were observing phenomenon that were traveling at not supersonic speeds, but hypersonic speeds. And that these things had the ability to conduct maneuvers, extreme maneuvers, where G-forces were experienced in excess of 3,000, 4,000 Gs. Well beyond not only the biological limitations of anything to survive, but more importantly, from a material science perspective, we simply did not have the science or the engineering to build such capabilities. Remember, we had not yet barely broken the speed of sound, and what we were seeing were objects flying not at supersonic, but hypersonic velocities. And these objects were tracked on radar as well. So whatever country had this capability, I think it would have certainly redefined warfare over the last 80 years. I do not believe the world would look like it does today if there was a single nation that had that technology back then.
1940年代では、日本やアメリカ、ドイツというのは一番、科学技術としては進んでいるところだったと思うんですけれども、当時でもまだ音速を超えることはできませんでした。でも、私たちはもう当時すでに、音速どころかもうその何倍ものスピードの物体を観測していましたという、誰か乗ってちょっと無理かなというような高度な技術がもう当時すでに本当に当然浅川さん何かありますか？
いや、まさにおっしゃる中国だとかすると今日取得してる持ってるんじゃないかはどのようにお考えですかについては。
Some people say that China, Russia, and maybe even North Korea have such technology. And actually, when I was at Seoul last year, some people asked me maybe Japan had such technology too. What do you think of this such a line of thinking?
Well, I think certainly it is. I think it's logical to presume that countries are indeed trying very hard to reverse engineer this technology. As I mentioned before, using Japan as an example, when the Japanese were first exposed to the Western Navy, they very, very quickly caught up and actually surpassed the Western capabilities. So this is precisely why I think it's important that from an international perspective, we work together. Because what we don't want to do is have another Cold War where different countries are trying to independently master this technology, because the consequences are extreme. If we do not learn to work together on this, I am very fearful, because this has a capability several orders of magnitude greater than nuclear power. And so we must work together. This is precisely the reason why.
It kind of gets to the point, too, that it's such importance that we actually might have to work with our enemies or adversaries to go and figure some of this stuff out. It's something that I've seen for a long time. This is the first time I've heard Lou even mention anything close to that. So let's continue.
中国、確かにそういうことあるとは思うんですけれども、日本は常に我々に今日いますできなければ。
そのことになると AI の例えば ASI 答えが出てくるんじゃなくてその技術を
Some rogue states, it's possible that we can imagine that some rogue states like Iran or North Korea would develop such technology, especially given the possible existence of the ASI, artificial super intelligence, that may become realized very soon. And when we think of this danger, this risk, maybe we can say that the United States should be leading our effort to disclose such technology first, to take some initiative and leadership in the world.
Well, I don't disagree with you at all, but I tend to be, my perspective varies just slightly. I obviously love my country. I'm very patriotic to it. However, with that said, I think this topic is much bigger than the United States. And I'm very fearful of any country, to include the United States, of controlling a narrative that affects a global population. I think there is always
Mike, did Lue just call out the government of the United States and their cover-up of this across the world for all these years, that we have one power who's been controlling the cover-up?
Yes, because he knows that that's what's been going on.
Yeah.
So he's talking about it publicly.
Exactly. I just wanted to point that out because this is another biggie. So let me just rewind 15 seconds and we'll continue on. Here we go.
This topic in country, I'm very patriotic, just slightly. I obviously love my country. I'm very patriotic to it. However, with that said, I think this topic is much bigger than the United States. And I'm very fearful of any country, to include the United States, of controlling a narrative that affects a global population. I think there is always danger in doing that. In the past, we have used neutral countries such as Switzerland to broker agreements. I think when it comes to the UFO, UAP topic, I think an international body such as the United Nations may be more appropriate. That way, this is technology that can benefit all of mankind and not just one particular country.
まあ確かにそうだとは思いますけども、ここでまた大切なことは私
This is a new perspective. So much for national security. Wow.
That's the correct perspective
Right.
that we've been talking about.
But Lue has always said for the longest time, if it comes down to national security or disclosure, he's going to pick national security. But here he's talking about humanity, and it sounds like he's putting humanity first.
Yeah, because I also believe that Lue is aware of what's going on in the White House currently on this subject.
Yeah.
And he feels that everything is about
Yes,
to break
Avi, I agree.
loose. And he's coming forward with a lot of what he knows.
Yeah, exactly. United Nations, a horrible example. Avi from India said the UN is a deadbeat organization, has no relevance. Yes, but I think we've got the idea of we have to have something where we've got the alliance of humanity coming together to kind of work collectively on this program, because without everybody coming together, we'll fail.
And Reagan figured that out 40 years ago, if you remember.
Yeah,
And he got the right answer, by the way, during the height of the Cold War.
exactly.
Leave it to Reagan. So when the chips are down and these blue orbs are dragging our pets out of our homes and melting them in the yard,
Yeah.
we're going to need help from everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, one other thing I'd like to address right now. We have 794 people watching the show, only 198 likes.
No, something wrong with that number.
Yeah. If
The
you're having a
cost
good-
of subscription is free. Everyone needs to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. And of course, we give you a double your money back guarantee with that. So please, everybody, like
Yeah,
and subscribe.
I put a lot into this thing to make it all happen on a regular basis. And this just kind of helps everyone share the stuff on YouTube. The more interaction, the more views we get, the more YouTube goes and shares it. We've been doing this for a while, and I appreciate and really personally thank everybody for their support, for getting us where we're at. On that note, let's go ahead and continue, Mike. Yes, Nick?
So you think things are going to happen soon that makes everything explode and people are just going to be like, wow?
Not tomorrow, Nick. I didn't mean that soon. Like Lou says, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah. We'll figure
So
it
be
out.
patient. We'll get there.
All right, here we go.
まあ確かにそうだとは思いますけども、ここでまた大切なことは、私が例えば国連が中でことを進める。
of one. I think we need to avoid the temptation of one country controlling the narrative. It concerns me, and even though I am staunchly loyal to my country here because my family are immigrants,
Can you go outside?
I also understand the reality that sometimes when you live in a neighborhood, you need to involve all your neighbors.
ここで本当にもう一回強調しておきたいんですけれども、一つの国がこの物語をコントロールするというそういう誘惑に駆られることは本当に避けなければいけません。でよく考えてみたら、近所の話でもそうなんですけれども、全ての隣人が一緒になって何かやらなきゃいけないことってありますよね。
So here's a case in point. We know that UAP seem to be interested in our nuclear equities, our nuclear technology, and our nuclear capabilities. Before we had an almost a catastrophe here in the United States called 3 Mile Island. 3 Mile Island was a nuclear production facility. It was a nuclear power plant, and we almost had a meltdown. And interestingly enough, there were UAP reported both before and after the incident. If you look at Chernobyl in Russia and Ukraine, you will see the same thing, that before and after the Chernobyl disaster in Pripyat, there were UAP sightings. Both before and after in the immediate area, and then of course, if you look at Fukushima as well, while I was at ATIP, we had established various hotspots where UAP activity was being witnessed, not only by military personnel but even the civilian populace, and very much like 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, Fukushima, people had reported seeing UAP both before and after the event.
UAP というのはベルトダウンで働いていた人はた時にたくさんのいます。
事故の前もですか？
前後に。Also before the incident happened, you said.
Correct, both before and after.
そうです。前と後です。
これズバリ聞いてください。
実は昨年7月26日に玄海原発の上空に3つの UAP が現れて、初の日本で公式報告された UAP なんですけど、それもこれ UAP の関係というのはエリゾントさんはどのように考えていらっしゃいますか？
So, in Genkai nuclear facility in Japan on July 26th, there was also a witness report of UAP observations. And now Asakawa says that he's very curious about your opinion about this UAP incidents occurring before the accident, because he's afraid that maybe the fact that UAPs were observed at Genkai nuclear power plants indicates that such an accident might occur.
So yes, we have noticed a significant interest by UAP in our nuclear equities. That includes nuclear power generation, nuclear weapon systems, and nuclear delivery systems. We have seen it time and time again here in the United States and overseas as well. The question whether or not that UAP can predict a disaster or may have some sort of involvement in a disaster, we have not yet been able to substantiate. It is possible that surveillance of our nuclear equities worldwide is just something that they do to monitor us for an unknown reason as of yet to be discovered. But the interest in our nuclear technology and our atomic technology previously is nothing new for us. We've been experiencing it now for decades upon decades. The question that you're asking, which I think is a very good question, is there some sort of ability to anticipate a disaster? And right now we don't have any data to suggest that, but it also does not mean that it's not possible.
Which kind of really quick there, Lou is actually saying it's possible because he's saying that there were UFOs observed at Fukushima the day before the disaster happened, like they knew something was going to come and be there. Of course, they were there the day of as well. So Interesting point from Lou. I don't think they necessarily picked up, but that's a big Lou breadcrumb on that front.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that means they're able to detect things that we can't yet.
Exactly. All right, let's continue on. Here we go.
とにかく UAP が、各施設がされている場所も、興味がある点に見張ってなんですけど、気もします。
ある国に核ミサイルがあるんですけど、やはりそういった事実
that maybe I've heard as rumors that maybe a country has launched a nuclear missile at some point or tried to launch one and somehow they didn't succeed. Do you think that a case like that has actually happened?
Well, we know that they have interfered several times in our country and in Russia. Here in the United States, we have the northern tier provinces, areas of the United States that house our ICBMs, our intercontinental ballistic missiles. And there are several occasions we have government reporting that substantiates this, that UAP have interfered with our readiness, UAP have interfered with our ability to potentially launch if we needed to. In fact, there was in Malmstrom Air Force Base, there was a UAP incident that had taken down an entire what we call a flight of nuclear missiles. You can imagine nuclear missiles being like lights on a Christmas lights on a string. It's to this day, we have not been able to figure out how they were able to interfere and bring offline our nuclear missiles. But in Russia, there was actually an incident where they were activated, and the Russians were fortunately able to make sure that did not happen. Now, there was also a test we were doing in the early 1960s of a nuclear-capable ICBM, but there was no warhead on it. And as we launched the missile, as it was flying downrange at roughly 800 nautical miles away and at 16,500 miles an hour, we have camera footage of a UAP entering the screen, performing a complete 360-degree roll around the warhead, and what appeared to be scanning it, what looked like some sort of energy or laser being emanated from the UAP as it scanned the warhead, and then it flies right back off screen again. And this is in the early 1960s.
一点確認で、これネット上で何度も見てますが、あれは本当なんですね。今エリゾンドさんがおっしゃった回転してレーザーっていう画像を動画を見たことありますが、あれは本当ということでよろしいですか?
So just to make sure, I've seen such a video once online, and you are saying that it's a real video.
Well, I don't know the video you're looking at, but I can tell you we had the real video when I was at the Pentagon.
それかどうかわかんないんですけれども、ペンタゴンに行った時にそのようなビデオを見たことがあります。ブルーギルトリプルプライム、有名な話。
これ結局のところ人間に人類にとって、なんかすごいちょっと単純な質問でちょっと恥ずかしいんですが、人類を何らかの形でサポートしてるのか、あるいは敵なのかっていうそのジャッジっていうのは長年研究されてると思いますが、今のところどういう見方が。
ちょっとその前にさっきの訳したいんですけれども、確かに、核兵器に干渉されたというのは何回もありますと。で ICBM が例えばランチする時の能力をオフにされたりとか、あるいは逆にロシアでのことなんですけれども、ミサイルをオンにされたことも、発射をオンにされたこともありますと。でこれは核弾頭のついてないものだったんですけれども、大陸間弾道ミサイル ICBM が発射された時に
Wow. To answer that question, we have to avoid the temptation that it's inherent within every human being. We look at the world through what we call anthropomorphic eyes, meaning we assign human value to everything because we're humans. and we're looking through human eyes. We don't know how else to see the world, and it's the reason why I have five dogs, and they all have human names, and I treat them like little human beings, but they're really not human beings. They're dogs. But I can't help but assign human attributes to things that are definitively not human, and we all do that. It's natural for us to do it, and it's almost impossible to avoid. So the real question is, how do we study something that is may definitively not be human? Meaning the things, fundamental things that we consider human, emotions, things like love, things like anger, things like intent and motivation, may not be something that is necessarily shared with something that is not human.
Mike, this is a big one. This is something experiencers like Ted Rowe from NARCAP has talked about before in the has talked about this in the past, where we cannot humanize the non-human intelligence because they are so different from us. They are literally alien to humanity or anything if you would consider to be of this planet. And we can't bestow these things and say, oh, wow, look, they're benevolent. They love us. They care about us. They're alien, and they just are what they are.
Oh, I agree. And you and I have been making these points publicly on the show for years now.
Right.
So, yeah, it's true. And now Lue is bringing us out internationally to Japan and the world.
And this is this thing that's part of disclosure that may not go over well with a lot of people. They don't love, they don't care, they are just what they are. And if they do absolutely horrific things, they're not evil, they're just what they are. Ryan?
Yeah, I think Lou just mentioned the Big Sur incident, I do believe. That's the famous Robert Jacobs incident at Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Yeah, we can get into that later on, but yeah, there's a bunch of things that he's bringing up. I'm not sure if that's the exact one, but yeah, great examples. No, but the example what he's talking about, these things not being human, the way he talked about it is exactly in the same conversations that I had with Ted Rowe from NARCAP. This is a guy who dealt with them. Yeah, it's just, we won't get into it now, but he went through fucking hell. He had no control over it.
Yeah, but the Robert Jacobs Big Sur incident, anybody wants to get more information?
Ryan, I want to move on. Here we go.
So when we ask, are these things good or are they bad? Well, that's a human trait, isn't it? Good and bad is relative. Good and bad may differ even amongst ourselves, what we consider as good and bad. I might like chocolate ice cream and you might like vanilla ice cream.
Okay, chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream, does this mean you've got a poll, Daryl?
Wait. We're going to do a poll on ice cream?
No. Just, I thought you had your hand up for a second. I thought it was for something like that.
Oh, I do have a hand up. I just have a general question. I don't know what the answer is. He's bringing up a lot of basic things from UFO past. Do we think that the Japanese people are that uninformed?
Well, how many times has Lue Elizondo been interviewed by anybody from Japan?
0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they may be informed, but they may not be informed. But either way, they're giving them a great, welcome.
Lesson.
I should say that.
But that sounds like a poll to me, Daryl. Maybe we should ask the audience.
All right.
Do they think Japan is aware of our history with UFOs? Yes or no?
Or something to that extent. We'll continue on when we get that together.
Yes, go ahead. I'm almost
there we go.
Ice cream, and you might like vanilla ice cream. For us we have to avoid the temptation of thinking that whatever this is has the same motivations and intent as we as humans do. Our motivations and intent are based on a fact that we are animals living on a planet that is resource starved. So there is always this competition between people, between nations, to gain more resources. But if you look at, for example, artificial intelligence, there is no intent behind it. It is certainly intelligent, but it does not have intent and motivations like a human being. It lacks that. And so it can often be confused as being human, but it is not. And so we must, in order to understand what they are like, we first must understand ourselves, what we are like. And that is the only way to really answer that question.
なるほど。
私たちが今避けなければいけない誘惑という、例えば私たちが例えばこういうふうにのものはこの惑星から人間がされて AI は考える私ともしたいのは本当に理解しようと思って、理解を超えてるかもしれない。
そこでお聞きしたい。
An alien, in order to understand what an alien might be, we first must understand what a human is.
人間というものそのいわゆるエイリアンというものが何かというのを考え
非人間的知性についてあなたは一言計画なんです。月探査計画を本格続かないでしています。ものと何
In your interview on Liberation Times, you mentioned you talked about NHI on the moon. They asked you about it, and you just answered yes. And Apollo went to the moon in 1972. 17 years later, there was another attempt. But now, after 54 years, the US we are trying to get to the moon again. So, could you comment on this thing, the possible NHI on the moon?
Sure. Well, one only has to go back 1 month ago in our nation here, and our president had authorized the release of original NASA photographs and NASA transmissions. Now, before I begin, let me state that for the record, NASA, up until last year, had said publicly and officially that our astronauts see nothing in space and that there are no photographs of any type of anomalous activity. Last month, our nation made it available to the world that indeed a lot was happening with the Apollo 11 missions, Apollo 12, later on with further on Apollo missions, that astronauts were indeed experiencing strange encounters, phenomenon, but more importantly, that photographs have been taken from the surface of the moon itself that depicted very interesting objects above the lunar surface. Now, it's important to understand at the time, we did not have satellites orbiting the moon. All we had was the lunar orbiter, which was waiting to rendezvous with the lunar lander. And that was the only thing orbiting the moon. And what you see in some of these NASA photographs appear to be triangular vehicles, lighted vehicles. And NASA has now said for the record that what you are seeing in these photographs may indeed be real things.
たった1ヶ月前なんですけれども、NASA がある写真を発表しました。NASA のある写真が情報公開されました。で、これは、よく考えてほしいんですけども、NASA は、去年まではプロをつけて、それはSNM はなかったんです。
There's also photographs that I don't believe have been made public yet that show on the lunar surface what appear to be large monolithic structures with right angle cuts that appear to be on the lunar surface. And I believe those photographs, if they have not been released yet, may be released soon. But they are certainly very intriguing looking at these objects from space.
実は今回まだ発表されていない写真で、大きな一枚岩のようなもの。
Again, they don't realize what Lou just said there. That's the statement. That's the title card of the show. We've seen these things from space, megalithic type, which is giant block kind of stuff, cut with 90-degree angles and such. This is, if you want to call it now, Ross grilled my gold, but do I trust Ross? Well, not exactly, but Mike Gold had a bunch of photographs with him, that he showed to the public, and he probably showed things to Lue as well that are from NASA that have not been released yet, but it's like, holy shit, you have these? This is what the reality is, and yes, they're there. We just need to get, I guess, the government and the head of NASA to go ahead and listen up, no pun intended, and release this stuff. It's necessary. It's historic.
I've got that poll ready whenever you are.
Send it up, Anna.
What I think is interesting is that this is like something out of Arthur C. Clarke's 2001: A Space Odyssey with the monoliths. Who would have ever thought something from the movies could turn out to be real life?
Yeah. All right, first survey of the night, really quick, folks. So you're having a good time. This is your time to take a breath. And if you need to run to the bathroom, that's fine. We'll get to it, but no, I'm joking. How familiar do you believe the Japanese UFO believers are with U.S. history? Lue is going through this slow. I'd even just say the Japanese public in general. Because, a lot of people here in the United States get it, but it's coming in really strong. 73%, 74% think the Japanese public is pretty well informed on this. So, interesting view. Any thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay,
I would have
Google,
thought that people...
Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute. Sorry.
Okay, 1 minute. Starting now.
Oh, it didn't get it all the way. Yeah, I would think from the land of Godzilla that you would have, an interest in science fiction type stuff. So yeah, I would think that'd be very familiar.
Interesting speaking, although we usually have 300-400 people watching, we're getting the same number of results, about 77. Means we have 77 people. If you're watching on your TV, don't forget, folks, you can always jump in from your phone and vote there. And I'm sorry, Google TV doesn't give you the option to a survey for YouTube. Boo. We like to have them here. And because we actually run the show on really quick, the lowest latency. So from the time I say something, it's like a second and a half at most before you're actually seeing it live. So makes stuff like this kind of fun. So either way, all right, we got just 10 seconds left, folks. 91 votes in. Is it going to change? No. It's clear that our audience has said Japan's very interested in it. And we'll see if we get another survey coming up and about I'm not sure. I'll figure that one out, whether it's the interest or something. But okay, there we go. We got the poll. We're back to normal. Thank you, Daryl, for bringing that up. And good to see that they think people in Japan are very familiar with UFO history of the United States.
I think they are.
But hey, you know what? There's so much shit that's going on, Daryl. We're just learning about it now. It's been top secret for too long.
Indeed.
Here we go.
ものが人工的な一枚がありますのに見え
エリゾンドさん、これが今回一番重要な映像だと私は思っています。
In my view, this is the most important photograph that came out of this process.
Look at the smile on his face. He knows exactly what he's going to say.
Of disclosure.
そしてこれは私にはですね UFO というよりもこれについてはですね三角形は別としてこの画像については僕はあなたが月面に生命体がいるっていうのとかなり近い存在じゃないかと予測してるんですがこれについていかがでしょうか。
オーブって言っちゃってもいいですか。
オーブ。
So maybe the triangular shaped vehicle that you talked about is different, but here maybe we see something like orbs. Maybe they are biological beings in some sense.
Yeah, a very intriguing photograph. There's another photograph that depicts what appears to be a triangular vehicle. You see 3 points of light.
Yes.
And that is a shape that has been reported and we have seen evidence of here in the United States many times. And we are now speculating that as far back as the Apollo missions, that these UAP were very interested in human exploration of the lunar surface.
それも非常に興味深い写真なんです。もう一つの三角形。
Sorry. Right there. Done.
の乗り物が乗ってる写真もありますよね。でそれはその同じような乗り物というのは、アメリカでも何回も見られているものです。でそういうふうに考えてみると、アポロ計画の時にもすでに NHI は、そのようなもので、月にいたということは、月にとても関心があったということですよね。
ごめんなさい、これon a more humorous note, there was a report that was also released at that time of a senior intelligence official who was sent by helicopter to investigate several UAP sightings. He was a skeptic, and then while he was in the helicopter for 20 minutes, he and the pilot were pursued by these orbs, and when he finally got back to his intelligence agency, he was panicked and was insistent that this experience was absolutely real, and I suspect it may have changed his mind a little.
ちょっと面白い話なんですけれども、ある上位の情報機関員の人がとてもこの20本
先日の会見であなた関係がした光。
Well, if we go back to history, we can see that there has been discussions in religious circles for potentially centuries, trying to describe what might be at some point related to UAP. So what do I mean? The word angel in the English language refers to a being that is, obviously a supernatural being that lives in a godly realm. But the word angel actually comes from the Latin word anhelios. Anhelios means of fire and of light. And so it is possible that ancient human interactions with non-human intelligence, with these plasmoids, may have been described as religious encounters with angels or these beings of light and fire.
But wait a minute, all these orbs and spheres and Foo Fighters are getting called out as atmospheric disturbances from meteorite dust in the atmosphere or such. That's coming from like Shermer and Loeb, which, that's right, it's the next swamp gas. As we move forward on one side, those schmucks who are part of the scientific panel push us to the left.
Of course, I have no way to substantiate that, but it is a theory that has been proposed that perhaps human beings have been influenced to some degree, even religiously, by encounters with these diffuse balls of light that seem to be intelligently controlled.
歴史を遡って考えてみると、やはり宗教的な人たちはそのようなものを見た、オーブのようなものを見たというふうに言っています。で、天使という言葉、エンジェルという言葉なんですけれども、ロールされることも、
政治の話に少し問題についてブリーフしている例でしょうか。全体の把握されているとお考えでしょうか。
So you have indicated that President Trump has been briefed on the UAP issue, but is it possible that he has not been read into the level that you or David Grush has been to? And if you had to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, how far into the full picture do you think President Trump actually is?
Well, I'm confident he has not been briefed to the level that my colleagues and I were involved with. But I don't think it's necessarily deliberate. I think any president of any nation is extremely busy. They have multiple national priorities that they have to balance, and they do not have the luxury of committing time nor energy to a single topic. However, I am aware that the president was indeed briefed to a level necessary enough for him to start directing organizations and agencies to be more forthcoming with the American people. I am confident he is very well aware of the reality of this topic.
正直思います。でも情報だんです。知っているでしょう。
こと中外生命に介するってことは別に公式に認めるとすれば管理するためにはところがこの点はどのようにお考えですか？
So releasing footage is one thing, but if the United States were to formally acknowledge the existence of extraterrestrial life or NHI, the impact on the economy and on energy policy would be unavoidable, which means the White House would need a carefully prepared framework to manage such an announcement. From where we sit in Japan, it doesn't look like that kind of structure is being built. How do you see it?
Ooh.
Well, I respectfully will differ slightly on that perspective. I believe that the administration is taking a very measured approach. I think it's very prudent because what the president has said, for the record, he said, "I'm releasing the files." And I want the American people to decide for themselves what this means to them. And more importantly, I hope they make the right decision. So the president, without causing any type of disruption to the markets or anything like that, has so far executed this disclosure, I think, in a very thoughtful way. It may not be the way that most people want or expect or anticipate, but let's face the facts that right now nobody has, this has not destabilized any markets. It has not challenged any real religions. Nope. People are still going about their daily business and paying their taxes and paying their bills and taking care of their children. I also have faith in the new.
And Mike, really quick, when Lou said this about 1.5 years ago, if maybe about right, that he said we're going to get an acknowledgement, not much more. And that's what we're getting. We're showing the stuff. We're getting acknowledgement. Hey, we got this stuff, but yeah, you guys figure it out. Not that's the answer we wanted, but it shows he's on
point
with
everything that he's talked about in the past.
Exactly. And what we're seeing is the operationalization of what he said back then.
Yeah, almost 2 years down the road.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And
Thomas, when you get 2 years, right in that time frame, we're about there. Yeah.
Thomas, when you get to the end of the interview, we're ready with a poll.
Sure. Sounds good. Let's get back to it. I just wanted to bring that up because, when you hear stuff that he's talking about, it's good to help share this and just make sure our audience is on the same page. Here we go.
Generation of young people. They seem to be much more accepting of new realities than my generation, the older generation. A lot of the fears we had for decades on this topic, destabilizing potentially countries and geopolitics, turned out not to be accurate. And so I do think that the measured approach is important. If you notice the way this information started coming out, it started coming out very slowly and very generically. And over time, it's become more and more increasingly specific with greater and greater fidelity of information being provided.
そうするとこのことについてはトラメです。で、マーですし、与えて希望がある、情報がこと彼が起こっていたと具体。
情報開示が始まった発端、エリゾントさんの動き、メロンさんの動きからそうだとか世界の動きが始まっているということは徐々に情報が開示されてきているということだと思うんですね。でこれは何か仕組まれているというかわからないんですけど、何らかの動きというのが背景にあるのかなっていうふうに私は思っているところなんです。でこの先でもし大統領がこのままトランプ大統領が進めていく、あるいは世界が足並みを徐々に揃えていくとしたときに、中国との関係で何らかの調整が必要ではないかと、ロシアもそうかもしれませんけど、その中でスティーブン・ミラー氏と連絡を取り合っているというふうに私は理解しているんですけれども、エリゾントさんが、彼はこの点について何か考えていらっしゃいますか？ 大統領の。
So I agree with what you've said completely, and I believe that the movement that started with you and also Christopher Mellon and so on, and also the movement that has been happening in Japan or France, we can say confidently that there has been gradual release of information. And maybe there's some one who's controlling or behind it. But I wanted to ask you about Stephen Miller. I've heard that you are acquainted with Stephen Miller, and maybe in connection with China, maybe you could say something about this, because I believe that China may be able to, or should be able to, or should play a big role in this too.
Yes, correct. We are aware of many nations establishing their own UAP investigative programs. China is certainly no exception. We know for a fact that China has been experiencing a high volume of UAP activity, just like the United States, just like Russia, just like other nations, including Japan. And in fact, if you look through history, there have been moments in time where adversarial nations have actually worked very well together in certain specific capacities. As an example, when it comes to the North Pole and the polar ice caps, the United States and Russia work very well together. There's this presumption that the United States and Russia, we never agree, but the reality is we do agree on a lot of things, and we will work together on a lot of things. And the same thing with China and other nations, that geopolitically we may be adversaries, but in reality we share a lot in common. And I think this is vital. I think this topic, if we take our time and we look at this topic for what it really means to humanity, then we have no choice but to work with each other in a cooperative manner.
確かに、たくさんの国が UAP について調査していますと。中国もそうですけど、ロシアも日本もたくさんの UAP に見舞われていますと。で敵国同士、いわゆる敵対している国同士が、でも、一緒に共同したということも歴史ではあるではありませんかと。例えば北極間の話もそうです。アメリカと、ソ連は一緒に、協力できましたと。実は敵対している国でも、それは地政学的にはそうかもしれないんですけれども、地政学的には敵対していてもたくさんのことでは、共同できるんですと。私たちは合意することができるんですと。で、この件に関しては実は私たちに、選択はありませんと。私たちは一緒に共に共同しなければならないのです。
バチカンとの関係です。
Correct. A couple months to have a vitally important. In fact, I will be traveling to Italy in a couple months in Lucca, and we have been asked.
Not a vacation.
Asked to have a conversation with some representatives in the Vatican. Every time I go to Italy, I have the honor and privilege to speak with officials in the Vatican, and I think you're absolutely correct. I think the conversation now growing much bigger, and it's not just the Vatican. It's the Church of England. It's also here in the United States. There's a lot of members of faiths that are now coming to the table and want to be part of the conversation.
本当にそうだと思っていますと。数ヶ月のうちに、イタリアのルッカに行くことになった。And I didn't know that you'd be meeting with the Vatican representatives, but I actually have been also in talks with some religious leaders in Japan, so I'm very much excited to talk with you about this topic in autumn.
それは菊池さんも一緒ですと。
And I'm coming along too.
Yes, and in fact, We may be having some members of our Congress attending as well, specifically, Yoshi, because of your participation. We have a representative, Eric Burleson, our member of Congress, who's been spearheading much of this effort along with several of his colleagues, who also speaks Japanese and has indicated to me personally he has an interest in meeting with you.
実はアメリカの議会からも、誰か来るかもしれません。特にバーリソン議員なんですけれども、バーリソン議員は、あなたが行くなら行こうかなというふうに言ってます。で、彼はもう浅川さんに会いたいというふうに言ってます。ちなみに彼は日本語もできます。
以前出ていただいてます。
Yes, we invited him also to this show and we interviewed him and he spoke in Japanese.
I can't comment how good or bad his Japanese is.
Even they're
I know he was
Timber
very much
Chat.
looking forward to it.
That's what I like. Lou talks about Burleson, and they bring up Tim Burchett. Very
That's
memorable
right.
person.
Tim is the right man to be there doing that.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you see how the old country bumpkin is speaking their language in their native tongue.
Oh,
Good
yeah.
for Tim.
Absolutely. He gets it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Bad his Japanese is. I know he
him and he spoke in Japanese.
I can't comment how good or bad his Japanese is. I know he was very much looking forward to it, and he's looking forward to speaking with you again.
どれだけ日本語できたか分かんないんですけれども、でも確かなのは浅川さんと会うのをとても楽しみにしてます。
ありがとうございます。
エリゾンさん、あなたのこの本、Chains of the Sea、以前ある番組であなたはガードナール・ドゾアの中編小説、Chain of the Sea を読むことを勧めていらっしゃいました。で、私、今まで的な考え方の議会でですね、秘匿するのは地獄かっていう言葉もあると思います。つまり、その幸せらが言うというのは何と何で思いますか？どちらかというのは何と何ですか？ 要するに情報公開が先か、それとも国民のべきだと思うかということです。
So we have read this book, Chains of the Sea. Actually, this is an anthology which contains a story, and which you mentioned and recommended to people. And we thought that this story was great. There's a lot of elements that we agreed to, we could agree on. Now, the American public has the right to know. And some people also say that it's unconstitutional that this information is hidden from the public. But now I would like to ask you, there's a word like ignorance is bliss or knowledge is hell. That's the expression we use here too. Which do you think comes first? I mean, there's on the one hand, disclosure and truth, but on the other hand, maybe there's this safety or being comfortable in not knowing the truth. Which one do you think is important, or what is your priority?
Well, I think the truth is never bad. Information, knowledge is what it is. It's the application of that knowledge that can be good or bad. But information, knowledge in itself, truth in itself is never bad. It is how we use that information, which again can be either good or bad. I believe that for me, truth is inherent with any democracy. If you want true freedom, truth has to be a fundamental pillar of that. Otherwise, you have tyranny. And my involvement in the U.S. government and in the military, I've seen tyranny up close and personal. And so I believe that America, I believe the world can handle the truth. I believe it deserves the truth, no matter what the consequences are. And you're right. There are people that will go to the doctor and don't want to know that they have cancer. But you don't have a chance of curing the cancer unless you know you have it. So I believe it's important that we are always honest with our citizens. I think it's imperative to any democracy to always be honest with its people.
例えば、ごめんなさい。
真実というのは、悪いことを使うか。真実はもまず、例えばがんになったらだから真実的ものなんです。
最後の質問ですと言ってください。
最後の質問、政治的なものわからないます。で、いろいろ政治的にはあるんですけれども、いろんな方が私のところにも接触を図られて来られるんですけれども、中には情報を取るため、あるいはどこかの国の組織の人間かもしれないと思われるような方も中にはいるんですけれども、エルザントさん専門家としてそういうスパイミというのは
Another political says unknown should not be left unknown. And now I have a question. There are many people who come to me, and sometimes I wonder if they are some kind of secret agents. How can one find out if someone is a covert agent?
Well, let me submit this to you. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they are or they are not a covert agent. What matters is that we have free agency. We have the free ability to make the decisions for ourselves of what information is important to us and what it means to us. Not all secret agents are necessarily bad. There are some secret agents that do a lot of good things for their country and want to do good things for their people. So we have to be just like politicians, right? There are good politicians, and then there are some that are not so good. I think what matters is that we are, as a people, able to have a conversation free of stigma. Stigma is something that artificially suppresses thought and expression. So we must be, to be a free people, we have to be able to have conversation and exchange thoughts mutually among ourselves, freely, without fear of reprisal, without fear of retribution, and without fear of stigma. I believe ultimately that it is incumbent upon every politician, every world leader, and every official to always be truthful and transparent with their people. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree all the time with everybody, but we still are morally obligated to be honest with one another, especially on a topic that affects everybody, whether it is climate change, or it is the topic of world hunger, or the topic of nuclear proliferation, or the topic of UAP. I think we are morally obligated to always try to have a conversation with one another. And ultimately, it is truth that shall set you free. I believe that we must avoid the stigma and avoid the handcuffing ourselves simply because we find a conversation uncomfortable.
ありがとうございました。エリゾンさん、時間になりました。ごめんなさい。
はい、こういうの考えてみてください。いい逮捕にはなります。これだけ言えることで、気候変動についてされてますが、北語はこの2点 asks you to be linked to last week of this. If White House asks you to be in charge of this disclosure effort in the administration, would you be willing to take this opportunity? And the last question or last request, please also give your message to our audience, our viewers.
Okay. Yes, if my country asks me to continue to serve, I will certainly do so. I have done so in the past, and I will continue to do so. Simply because of my loyalty to the American people.
Really quick, this is the first time Lou's been asked this question since the rumors have been spilling from Ross Coulthard.
I would also ensure that on a monthly basis, I have an open dialogue with the American people about what we have learned and what are some of the challenges we still have, and have open dialogue with the public and frankly, the international community as well. As far as my recommendation to your audience, I would say be brave and courageous in your pursuit of the truth. Never be afraid of the truth. Truth is an inherent right of every human being on this planet. And I mean every human being on this planet. So have the moral courage and moral fortitude to be willing to ask the hard questions. Ask the hard questions to your teachers. Ask the hard questions to your parents. Ask the hard questions to your politicians and anybody else that you're seeking answers from. This is the truth is the inevitable journey of all humans. It is part of our species. Exploring the unknown is in our DNA. It is why we sail over the horizon. It is why we take spacecraft to the moon. And I think that is ultimately the spirit of humanity. And I would encourage all your listeners to continue doing so. I've had the honor and privilege to work with Japan and the Japanese people in the past, and it's been one of the greatest honors of my life. And I'm always learning something new perspectives, new understandings. So that would be my advice.
勇気を持ってくださいと。勇気を持って真実は全て非質問、人間の DNA 出て、私とがあるんで学ぶことが。
ありがとうございました。本日はぜひ本当ありがとうございました。また機会がありましたらぜひエリゾンドさんまたお話を聞かせ。
And we would love to have you here again and have and continue our conversations.
It is my sincere and humble honor to be with you here today, with you esteemed men and also your incredible audience. Thank you for what you are doing. Thank you for what you're doing on behalf of all of us, to include American people and the world. History will remember you kindly.
本当に私にとってもとても光栄なことでしたっていうの、それは皆様に会えたのもそうですし、視聴者の方々に会えたのも、そうですと。歴史はあなたたちにとって、あなたたちを記憶に留めるでしょう。
はい、ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
失礼します。ありがとうございました。
Thank you very much.
Wow. That was one heck of an interview. I guess we could call this, no. Oh, yeah. Cheers to national security, Daryl. It's been said many times. We've been doing solos on that one. There we go. Get back to it. Yeah. All right. Great conversation, though, with what's coming from Lue.
Yeah. I got a poll.
He seemed a lot more open to talking about things, getting to topics that he hasn't hit before. And we got through it all in under 2 hours.
Can you pause it right there? Pause it right there.
Yeah.
Can. Okay. Here we go. You ready for the poll?
Yeah. Hold on. I probably need to go back a little bit more if I know what you're going for the pose. There we go.
Wait. Now I got to go back to what you were looking at. No, you got to put the glasses back on. Are you kidding me?
Oh, the glasses are on here?
You got to put the glasses on.
Okay, there we go.
There. Okay, there we go. All right.
We got a poll. There we go. Let's see where it's going to go. All right, let's get to it. Guy with blue zip jacket, white t-shirt, and a cross is actually Austin Powers impersonating a Japanese translator. No, he's actually not the translator. He's a political journalist and producer.
Well, he's translating.
But either way, 93%, no, he wasn't the translator, but either way, good enough. We're at 88% of the audience is saying yes. But it's nice to see Lue. You know, the only other time we've had Lue going ahead and talking for an audience outside of, English has been, who's that with? With Italy. And that's it. Everything else, all of his interviews everywhere. Well, granted, it's all translated. Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute, please.
Got it.
I can already tell you this poll's going to have more votes than the other one.
Well, we got 61 votes in 1 minute, and you only usually do 2 minutes at most to go ahead and do our surveys. So you got 49 seconds left, folks. It looks like yes. Well, and we'll probably hit 80, 90 votes in the next 41 seconds. I don't know. We're already up to 73. Apparently, more people are interested in voting in this than earlier today, but I'll take it. No, is it the usual same 77 people that vote, Daryl? That's what we're dealing with.
Right. Oh, maybe a few more.
Maybe it'll move. Hey, we broke it. We're up to 77. We get there. 22 seconds left. Hey, hopefully the audience. There's been a lot of interaction from the chat. Hopefully the audience out there. We had a bunch of people go ahead and stop in tonight. A large live audience. We appreciate everybody coming in. Remember, if you're new, you're enjoying kind of the coverage of what we do on Disclosure, give us a chance. Give us a subscribe, please. I've been running this thing for too many years to count. And yes, people always say, Thomas, why do you only have 18,100 and some odd subscribers? Because we're trying to get to 18,200. Yes, it's been a long, steady climb, but we appreciate everyone coming here. And don't forget, give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. If you're going to give us a thumbs down, at least send us your love in the comments below to tell us how we can improve this. And well, Daryl, the survey did go off.
Oh, good.
And we've got a final answer here. 80-20. Well, God damn it. It's just changed at the very end, but I'll take 80-20. 87 votes in.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Yeah, it was good. Ryan, your hand is up.
Probably one of the better interviews I've heard Elizondo do. And secondly, this does not sound like somebody who's trying to cover up for the legacy.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
The people who are trying to go ahead and say Lue's going to destroy it, he's going to shut it down, this is horrible, he's an intel agent. No, he's a guy who actually fucking cares and he wants Disclosure to come forward. So to say that, oh my God, he'd be the last person you want to have and to go ahead and help the executive branch sort this out, I couldn't. Yeah, there may be some other people can put up there, but for me, he'd go to the top of the list.
That's my only real comment. But anybody that's new to the show, this is the place to be for Disclosure. I mean, it's 6 days a week, folks. Come back. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Ryan. Mike, it's been a great show trying to figure this thing out, seeing where it's going to go. And it just gives us an idea that, it's Disclosure is definitely an international topic, and it's great to see Japan lining up and being so interested in partnering with America on so many different areas, including now UFO Disclosure.
Well, I think a large part of it has to do with the fact that our government, right after our 250th anniversary over the weekend, we're the first ones that publicly acknowledged this topic from the White House.
Yeah.
No other government did. That has a lot to do with why interviews like this are taking place.
Start a poll. I'm going to do one. Will there... Oh, God, I hate to say that. I hate to use the word will. Sorry, Daryl, I have to usurp you when this one just hit here. Will there be a July 8th? That's Roswell Day, isn't it?
It's whatever day everybody's talking about, yeah.
That's fucking tomorrow. So the date when all NATO's getting together and the whole thing, all these people have been talking about for the longest time that there's going to be some kind of presidential announcement. Nick, am I right on this one, on July 8th? Anybody else out there on Twitter? Anyone in the chat?
Well, Daily Mail put something out talking about that.
July 8th, right?
Correct.
Tomorrow. My answer to this, let me start the poll first. My answer would be hell no.
Yeah.
That's right, folks. Okay, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 59 seconds, please.
No, just to try and influence some people to vote yes. I mean, he is in meeting with all the other countries, right? I mean,
Yeah. Will there be some kind of a big UFO announcement tomorrow? People have been saying that Trump's got this speech canned, that he's going to go ahead and give this miraculous speech
and
about UFOs and Roswell and Disclosure and all that stuff. Do we really think that's going to happen? It just sounds like bullshit to me. Go ahead, Daryl. I'm sorry.
And he's just there with all the other world leaders. So what a perfect place to announce disclosure and all sing Kumbaya together.
Oh boy.
Never gonna fucking
I voted
happen.
no. I voted no, by the way, but I'm just saying.
I'd vote if I could, but I can't because it's my channel.
It's not gonna happen. Plain and simple. Last week, Thomas and I thought we might get a drop for his birthday, and that never happened.
Yeah, well, the birthday week would have been nice.
Yeah.
You know, it almost takes what we're not going to get this Friday, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not buying into that again.
Oh, I know. So. But hey, got a lot of people. Yeah. So, yeah, no. There will be no presidential announcement tomorrow out of the 93 votes. And actually, we actually have 37, 36, 35 votes. And Daryl, we're actually going to get up to 100 votes on this one. Woo! I know how to write them.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Oh, come on, let's get to 100. We got 24 seconds left. Come on, we got 5 more votes to go. Can we please get there? Someone who hasn't voted yet has voted a second time. Another account, you're going to have to switch to it. I know, 96 with only 14 seconds left to go. 97 votes, 10 seconds left to go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the timer went off. Is it going to go? Give a couple more seconds. No, we're not going to get beyond. Not 98. 100. It's 101. We got it.
Good.
Thank you,
Yeah,
audience.
if you let my polls run for 5 minutes too.
I didn't. I set a timer. I let it go for a minute. Then I gave you another minute and a half.
It's always the negative polls that are the
No, it's not that. It's a good poll, my goodness. I guess we could also say for the next one, if you like to write this one, Daryl, are we going to get a UFO drop this Friday?
Okay, what?
Are we going to get a UFO files drop this Friday? Let's see where the audience. We still have 700 people here.
This Friday or by this Friday?
Yeah, this Friday.
Oh, exactly on Friday. Okay.
Yeah, July 10th.
Because they do the drops on Fridays.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like they have a pattern.
They do.
They do.
They actually do. They always,
come on.
They always release on a Friday.
Yeah. Whatever.
But it's yeah, this next Friday. No, this Friday. July 10th.
Get a drop.
Yeah.
On
maybe.
this Friday.
Yeah.
You want a maybe in there, did you say?
No, just yes or no. Keep it easy.
There you go.
The hell? No, that couldn't have happened. We're still broadcasting? I think we're still broadcasting.
Yeah, we're still broadcasting.
Did it go up? Yeah, okay.
So if you want to go in July on a date that ties into the White House, you would go with July 19th, because back in 1952, we had for the Saturday and Sunday, the weekend, there were UFOs constantly flying over the White House on 2 weekends in a row, and the first weekend started on July 19th, 1952. So if they want to give us a drop, that would probably be a good time to do it.
Well, so far, 59% of our audience, 60% of the audience is saying yes, we are gonna get a UFO drop this Friday. Shrink down a little bit. Let's get there. We go. I'm sorry. I'm gonna say no.
No, I said no too.
I'm going to say no. I have no trust in this government right now. We've gotten some really vague answers coming from Anna Polina Luna, bless her soul for what she tries to do. But we're going to get this announcement, she said, right? But before that, we're going to get the next file dumps in the next weeks. But we still haven't gotten them yet. So we got this announcement that's nebulous without any detail. And then we've got these files that no one's telling us when they're going to get them because they're all on vacation.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. Yeah, everybody is taking off. So I don't think anything is going to move right here, right now.
But you know what I'm hearing people say, Mike? Trust the process.
Oh, please. No.
Trust me, bro.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. All right. We are 1 minute to go. We got, okay, Google, set a timer for 30 seconds. Come on, you got 74 votes in. We got 30 seconds left to go. Can we get up to 100? We got to get, 30? 33 more? Come on, we can get there. 22 seconds left. But you know what? Nothing's going to change. The numbers are there. We got 78 people, even 80. Daryl, no, we're not going to get a drop this Friday. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, this is a toss-up for me. I want to believe it. I don't believe it. I want to believe it.
Whatever happens, when you get it, you celebrate until just imagine you're waiting around for your for that baby to pop out of the oven. You don't know when it's going to happen exactly, but eventually, by a certain date, it's going to have to. Well, on that note, happy.
I'd like to take another poll, but not now. But if I had one right before we sign off, it would be: do you believe the drop is absolutely going to happen on a Friday?
Yes, that was a given.
Okay, that's a given.
They've all dropped on Friday, Daryl. Every last one of them.
Yeah.
So we're going to get it on a Friday,
I
but the
forgot
question now is,
sorry, everybody.
What Friday?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Exactly. On that note.
Well, listen, we also haven't heard anybody from Washington talking about this. And if there's going to be a drop, we usually hear before the drop them coming out and talking about it. We haven't heard shit in a while now. It's been quiet.
It's been very
until I hear
quiet.
somebody open their mouth. I'm not thinking we're getting anything.
Well, if we are, we are, and everybody knows where to come back to.
That's true.
Yes.
We'll be here and we'll be covering it.
I'm going to bet 100 subscriptions to the channel that it happens on a Wednesday.
Well, that'd be nice. I'll take it on any day. My friends can consider they're absolutely free. I hope you can maintain those accounts really well. On that note, I want to thank everybody for coming out to this episode of Disclosure tonight. More importantly, I want to thank some people who gave us some great super chats. And Punk Elf, hopefully you drank some water because you said you were fucked up. And usually Daryl or Mike, when you have someone in the bar who's drinking too much, what do you usually tell them to do? Drink water.
Yeah, drink water, get some food in your stomach.
Oh, yeah. On that note, I want to go ahead and I thought I'd turn off auto chat. I want to thank T-Bones for the super chat. Started off EDub21, thank you very much. We had T-Bones again, thank you very much again, and all to you from Rock and Roll. I want to thank everybody for your love and support of everything I hear on Disclosure tonight. It's been a great night. And just got another one in from Spyrex. Catastrophic Disclosure can't come soon enough. Thanks for what all this channel does. Thank you, everybody, to the audience, because we're here for you, not just for us. And it's really about, having an audience to bring this to that we can share it with and, enjoy national security.
Yep. Have some laughs, have a good conversation, and, spread it around to everybody.
Absolutely. Just not like a venereal disease, and we'll be fine.
Yep.
And as we usually say, inappropriately on every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, and we'll catch you at the flip side. Good night. See ya.